Welcome back, my friends, to part 2 of our Friday the 13th series of films and the TV show. We'll squeeze that in there at the end as well, as I promised in the first episode. But we're picking up here on part 7, The New Blood. And this is definitely a series. I know I've recently spoken in some the videos that I've made that I'm not as much into horror as I was before. And that's to say the hack and slash, specifically this kind of film right here. If you got a monster in it, it's still a suspense movie, then it's still going to generate some interest from me. But these do, I do kind of want to go back and watch these again. I did recently see Jason X, because I was just in the mood one day, pulled it off the shelf within the last couple months, and I gave Jason X a spin, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. But then it's more sci-fi, a little more action, not quite just so much hack and slash as they started out. So I want to go back and relive these again and give them a second chance. It's been many years since I've watched them, even though I have seen every one of these films more than just a couple times. It has been years since I have watched any of them other than Jason X, which was part of the New Line Cinema. That was the second New Line Cinema film. This is the last of the Paramount releases here. I know there's been lots of debate and talk about different versions of a lot of the films, different cuts, and so far we've not seen any alternate cuts that I'm aware of coming out on DVD or Blu-ray for that matter. So it would be interesting if they would put out some alternate versions, but that may never happen. Especially since they tried to reboot the series back in 2009, and apparently, I'm just guessing here, but apparently it didn't go over as well as they would have liked, because it didn't get a sequel, and here we are in 2023. If it had really done well, we would have seen a sequel long before now. In fact, now we're probably in the reboot era again, where they would just try to reboot it up again. That's kind of cool. I like that with all the lights in the background there. But yeah, at this point, I think if we were to get a Friday the 13th, it would be a reboot and a re-envisioning, something along those lines. And Hollywood is notorious for them, so if you're a big Friday the 13th fan, I think you've got a real good chance of seeing that someday. And as I said, that was the last entry in the Paramount series, and we will do that box set after the first three of the three new lines and the reboot. We'll do those before we get to the box set and rehash the first 8 again, so you can see the box set and the way the artwork changed and the way the discs were. Now this one, I remember they tried to tie into the Evil Dead a little bit, and you do get that there off that face on that snake. You see that, and they tried to kind of play it up like Jason was one of the Evil Dead, and they even used the Kandorn, I think is how they pronounced it, dagger, in the film. But I think this was also the one where they also had Freddy Krueger's hand come up and grab the mask at the very end. So that was where I think a lot of the rumors and a lot of the teasing about the Jason versus Freddy going to happen, which it took years from this point before that did finally take place. But it did take place, and that was the last film in the series, at least to date. Not counting the reboot, I'm counting the first run of the series when I say that. Because I know there's people out there saying, oh, no, 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 there was the killer cut. Yes, there's the killer cut. Killer cut was more of a re-envisioning slash reboot of the series than it was a sequel or continuation of the series. But yeah, you can definitely see the Evil Dead influence in that face on that snake there coming through the mask. And I love the Evil Dead series. I just watched the newest film yesterday, and I wish I could say I loved it, but I was a bit disappointed in it. You didn't get a lot of character development. You really didn't care about the characters, and it just left me flat. It was gory. If that's what you want, is just gore. It was gory, but a lot of the story was kind of weak. It just didn't really add up for me, so I was disappointed in it. I was also disappointed in the reboot that they tried to have. But the first three, Evil Dead was straight out horror, shocking film, especially at the times for me to see. And then the Evil Dead 2 added a comedic element to it, which was well received and enjoyed by me and my friends. And then Army of Darkness, which was actually the first one I went to the theaters to see. I just loved it, but it was pretty much straight up just comedy at that point. But those first three Evil Dead films, love them. They're great. And I can understand why they tried to tie them together here. Now this one we do get a booklet instead of just the insert. It's not much of a booklet, but it's a booklet, and we're going to definitely take a look at it. This is probably my favorite one. I know I said I just recently watched it, and that could be why, but I most definitely did enjoy this film. It's probably largely because of the sci-fi aspect of it, and I just liked the storyline. I thought that was cool. You know, they come back to Earth and they discover a cryogenic chamber, and he's in it, and you got to kind of think, well, why would they bother, putting him in a cryogenic chamber rather than destroying him? And she's really badass. She's pretty tough. Sorry if you don't like the word ass, but I try to keep this channel clean. It's not made for kids by no means. There are some imagery that could be questionable for young children, so it's not why I'm keeping it clean. I'm trying to keep it clean because I want it to be tasteful. I think it gets a little tacky when you start overusing profanity. I'm no saint, and I'm not criticizing anyone for what they do. Ozzy Osbourne took the F word and just depleted it of all meaning on his show as far as I'm concerned. But, and then just, there's no real point in showing that. So I am trying to keep it clean. I am being conscientious and aware of that. And some people might take offense to words that I wouldn't take offense to, and vice versa. Well, that one's really got a lot of reflection on it. Well, it's dark. It's kind of shiny. It's got a... Look, they're fighting over the GoPro. Oh, who gets it? We'll probably get a better shot on the inside of that anyways. Flyer or booklet. It's probably going to give us a much better view. And I do have those lights coming in from the side, but that's just the light from outside. And that plastic that's causing that reflection. It's not really so much a shadow as it is a reflection. And wow, like a mirror there. Alrighty, and so here's our booklet inside, and oh no, we don't get that nice fancy cover repeated here. Looks like we get a completely different shot on the booklet. Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, this was a long time coming. I had some friends that were really fired up when this one came out. They were really excited and running to the theaters to see it. I did go to the theaters and see this one too. There were a number of these that I did go and see. And I didn't think it was bad. I thought it, had its moments. Thought it was kind of comical how Freddy couldn't kill him. Thought he did a couple of times, but he just kept finding out that he didn't. Alright, on the soundtrack. If you love the tunes, well, that's kind of a repeat of the front cover of the DVD. And the back of this insert is an advertisement for The Butterfly Effect, which was a pretty decent film. I liked it. Alright, so we've made it up to the re-envisioning of Friday the 13th, which was called Killer Cut. More suspense, more terror, more Jason. Probably more blood. Yeah. I just don't really remember this one too well. I did not go to the theaters to see this one. I bought it. This was when I had the attitude that I'd just as soon spend my money and buy the movie when it came out. No booklet here. We do have a digital copy thing, but that code's going to be long expired, and no point in teasing anybody by putting that up on the screen. So, when we come back for part 3, we will be looking at the box From Crystal Lake to Manhattan. Hope you join me for that one as well.